And we are live. Welcome to the Total Fitness Bodybuilding video chat for Friday, December the 27th. Just a couple days after Christmas, and hopefully you had yourself a good Christmas holiday. I certainly did. Had a great holiday with the family, but I'm looking forward to getting back to normal, right? It's nice to have the the holiday, if you will, but there's a lot of hustle and bustle and getting off track. And while I do enjoy it, it's nice to get back into a routine. I'm a person of routine and habits and patterns, and I like getting back into my old routine. So I actually do miss it, but nonetheless, it's nice to get together with family and friends and enjoy the holiday season. So hopefully you had yourself a good holiday. And if you're looking to get back on track now and get a head start on your New Year's fitness goals, then you're in the right place, because I'm going to be hanging out here for the next hour, answering questions and topics of discussion that you may have related to health and fitness, building muscle, losing fat, getting back in shape, any specific challenges you may be dealing with regards to fitness, nutrition, your workouts. Feel free to type those questions and topics of discussion into our chat window there. So if you're watching on YouTube, there's a chat window to the side of the video. If you're checking out on Facebook, then you can type into the comments below. All right, so I'll just give people a few moments to pop onto our live stream here. I see people hopping on right now. Good stuff. If you're tuning in live, let me know. Just first off, I just want to make sure that the audio is coming through loud and clear on your end. So if you can hear me, if you can see me, if this is coming through loud and clear, just give me that thumbs up and let me know that it is coming through loud and clear. Just want to make sure. All right, we've got AJ joining in. Welcome, AJ. Glad to have you joining us. Robert's joining in. Good afternoon. Got some questions about arthritis. All right, we'll certainly be discussing that. Just want to make sure it's coming through. Scott's joining in. Welcome, Scott. Glad to have you tuning in as well. Good stuff. All right, I thought I brought some water with me. I got a tickle in my throat, and I come prepared. All right, so one thing that I want to share now while I'm waiting for folks to type in their questions and topics for our video chat here this evening is one, I actually shared this over on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Facebook group back in November. I believe it was November 18th. I set a goal for myself that I wanted to drop 10 pounds by Christmas. And I set that on November 18th. And the reason why I set that is because my weight has been slowly creeping up into the no man zone for me, the beyond my threshold, because I have a personal threshold where I don't want to let my weight get over 200 pounds. If I get over 200 pounds, that's when my warning lights start flashing, the alarms start ringing. It's like, okay, you got to get your act together, tighten things up, get back on track. And that happened to me on November 18th. And I actually made a video clip talking about this over on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Facebook group. And I said, I set a goal for myself now. I wanted to lose 10 pounds by Christmas. Well, I went ahead and started taking action, tightening up the diet, just being more consistent with the exercise. And it wasn't anything extreme, but basically just being more mindful of all those little in the moment decisions and being more consciously aware of trying to tip the scale in favor of fat loss versus just saying, screw it, it's the holidays. It's okay, I'll start again in the new year. I wanted to avoid that from happening at all costs. So I was more mindful of my eating, exercise, and lifestyle habits. And even though I didn't hit my goal, I managed to lose 8 pounds by Christmas. So the goal was 10, but I achieved 8. And I'm still super happy with that, because that is 8 pounds moving in the right direction that normally I would not have achieved that progress. And chances are, if I followed the way that most people go about their holiday fitness routine, I probably would have ended up gaining 5 or 10 pounds over the course of the holidays versus losing 8. So I was super happy with that, to be able to get through holiday season, family get-togethers, meals, indulging. Like, we had some cakes and cookies and desserts and all that kind of stuff, but I still made it work, and I was still able to drop 8 pounds over 6 weeks or whatever time frame it was, which is very respectable progress. I mean, it's not extreme, it's not crash dieting or anything like that, but it's it's very solid, steady progress, and in a very challenging time of year. So I was super happy with that. And I'm going to break down in more detail in an upcoming episode of the Total Fitness Bodybuilding podcast how I went about achieving that, and so sharing some of those strategies so that you can implement those yourself as we move into the new year. And I'm just curious to know, for those of you who are tuning in now, what are some of your fitness goals for 2025? What are some things that you would like to achieve this year? If you're feeling brave, type it into the chat window. Let me know. And if you have any questions or concerns or anything that you want to discuss related to achieving those goals, type it into the chat window as well, right? We'll get that conversation going. All right, so let's see. First question we have here, jumping in. Robert saying, how do you work through arthritis? Don't have enough to have an operation. Well, that's good, I guess. I mean, mild arthritis. I mean, it's not severe. That is a challenging one. And I have to be totally transparent. I've never had arthritis myself. So I can't speak from personal experience with this. But I do know people who have arthritis pain, mild arthritis pain. Like there's different levels of arthritis. To it's a mild nuisance, to it can be borderline crippling and excruciating and everything in between. But personally, I haven't had to deal with it. Maybe as I get older, I will, right? Hope not, but it's certainly a possibility for sure. Both my parents have it, and it's in that nuisance category. I mean, it's not to the point where they can't function or anything like that, but it's just nuisance pain and sometimes limits mobility. I know for my parents, they very often have it in their hands and in their fingers, sometimes like even in their knees or somewhere like that, where they get a bit of aches and pains and stuff like that. But when it comes to arthritis, one of the best things from my research on it, and again, I'm being transparent here, I've never had to deal with it, so I can't speak from personal experience, but light movement is medicine. Not doing anything and just, oh, it hurts, so I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to rest up and hopefully it goes away on its own type of attitude. That does not work. Like if you don't use it, it's going to get worse. So movement is medicine, but you have to work within your pain threshold and just go through the motions and try to keep that joints, tendons, and ligaments, keep things moving. The more movement there, the more frequently you can do the movement, the more blood flow and circulation, and the more it's going to help to work through it and ease that pain and discomfort that you're going through. But you're going to have to just like kind of go through the motions. And that is the key thing. Frequency, lower intensity workouts, lower intensity cardio sessions, lower impact, like finding ways that you can work around it. So it really depends on like where you're having the arthritis pain. But let's just say like you were getting it in your knees, for example. Well, obviously things like running or high impact activities are probably off the table. You wouldn't do that. But lower impact things, walking, and maybe even walking is too much impact, because there's, even though it's not as high impact as running, there's still impact when you take a step. But maybe things like going to the gym and using the stationary bike or the elliptical machine or something along those lines, where there's zero impact and you're just moving the muscles, joints, tendons, and ligaments, but you're not experiencing that impact. That may help you to work through it. When it comes to your strength training workouts, probably machine exercises with lighter weights and higher reps would feel better, and just really kind of going through the motions and think of the movement versus, trying to hit personal records and having set targets in terms of weight and things like that. And one thing I have noticed, this applies with me as well, the older you get, the more aches and pains you get in your joints, tendons, and ligaments. That can very often be a limiting factor with how much weight you can lift in the gym. It's not that the muscles can handle it, and you may have enough muscular strength to power through heavy weights, but the joints just don't want to support it. And that's the weak link in the chain. And very often I find this, like if I'm doing heavy presses or squats or any heavy exercise, the muscle power is there, but sometimes it's causing pain and discomfort in the joints, tendons, and ligaments. So you have to adjust the weights and the workload to the weakest link in the chain. So in this case, if the arthritis pain is the weak link in the chain, you're going to have to adjust the workload to that, because if you try to go beyond that, you're just going to cause more aggravation and potential risk of injury. And we certainly don't want that. So it's frustrating. I totally get it, but you kind of have to go through it. And other things that you may be able to experiment with, like, any type of over-the-counter pain medication might help to band-aid the pain to get through the workouts a bit more. Keeping yourself warm while you're working out, especially in the wintertime, like if warming up, wearing like sweatsuits, like long sleeve sweatshirts, long sleeve track pants, keep yourself warm so that your knees and your elbows and shoulders and everything are covered. Like I wouldn't be going to the gym in tank top and shorts if you have arthritis pain, because if the joints are cold, then it's going to be more painful. But if they're warm and you're retaining that body heat, it's going to help to improve blood flow and circulation and may make the movements feel more comfortable as well. Even getting a hot shower, or if you have access to like a sauna or a hot tub or something like that, getting in that prior to your workouts may actually help, elevate some core temperature, warm up the muscles, joints, tendons, and ligaments, and that can help as well. I mean, that's something that I will do as well. Like if I'm feeling a bit stiff or sore or something, I might get a hot shower or sit in the sauna at the gym for a few minutes, to kind of just let everything warm up before I actually hit the exercise room. And I find that helps, just take some of the aches and pains out. So, I mean, you can try all those types of strategies to work around it. But it's frustrating. I totally get it. But the big thing is you don't want to use this as an excuse to not do anything, because not doing any exercise and not moving because it hurts, that's just going to make it worse. You kind of have to work through it, but go at a lower intensity and just think of movement as medicine. So in that situation, like let go of the ego of, oh, I got to hit certain reps, or I got to hit a certain work capacity, or I got to set a PR. Like throw that stuff out the window. Just focus on showing up and going through the motions. And that can apply to a lot of training scenarios, but especially in your case now when you're working through arthritis pain. All right, let's see what else we got. AJ saying, to let you know, Lee, I'm visiting my parents, and my mother always makes sure I'm well fed, as parents usually do. So I'm enjoying going on a mini bulk during the holidays. I got an upper body workout in today. Plan to do a lower body workout tomorrow. Says I'm just over 200 pounds right now. Gotcha. And you know what? I like what you mentioned there. And I'm just going to bring the question back up. Taking advantage of those extra holiday calories that you're consuming, because like, let's look at the big picture. Okay. Christmas Day, and chances are it's not just Christmas Day. You probably had like Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and now Boxing Day, you had leftovers and everything else. So there's probably a calorie surplus been consumed over the past few days. Instead of beating yourself up over it and like, oh, geez, I overate and feeling like a fat, what, take advantage of that. Get to the gym and get in some good workouts, because now that your muscles are topped up with glycogen and you got all those calories and carbs and everything else in your system, chances are you may feel stronger in the gym. You're probably going to be fuller. You're probably carrying an extra few pounds of water retention, but you can utilize that and actually train and get some good workouts from it. So try to see the glass as half full, right? Instead of beating yourself up over, oh, I'm a few pounds heavier, big deal, blah, blah, blah. Go to the gym and train, right? Take advantage of that and put those calories to good use. And realize that a few days of overeating doesn't cancel out everything. Like a lot of people have this all or nothing mentality, where it's like, oh, I put on a few pounds, I just canceled out the last 6 months of diet and exercise, I'm a total F up, and then throw in the towel and, go hide under a rock and cry themselves to sleep. Like, no, just realize, like, look at the bigger picture, right? Okay, you overate. Yes, you put on a few pounds. Most of it is just water weight and bloat, right? Okay, maybe there is a little bit of body fat there along with more muscle glycogen and everything else. Big deal. Once you get back on track again, you'll quickly lose that and then start moving forward again. Like, it's only a little bump in the road, right? It's like taking one step back, and now if you get back on track, you can take 2 steps forward. So as long as you can start again and keep that momentum moving forward, indulging over the holidays isn't a big deal. It's when you just throw in the towel and say, oh, screw it, I'm wasted all this time and effort. I'll wait till the new year, or I'll wait till when I'm ready. And and then you just keep spiraling out of control, making poor decision, and just letting things go to hell in a handbasket. No, like start again for your very next meal, start again for your very next workout. And if you did overeat, then man, take advantage of those extra calories and get in some good workouts. I mean, ideally train some of your stubborn body parts. Like if you have a body part that you're really trying to improve on, whatever that may be, this is the time to train those stubborn body parts, because you're going to feel stronger, and all those extra calories are going to help to ensure good workouts and stimulate some new muscle growth. All right, who else we have joining in? Let us see. We have Cooley and Silvertenham. Nailed it. I know I nailed your name. Trying to lose 20 kilograms. All right, that's a very respectable goal, and that's a substantial goal. Like 20 kg, that's 44 pounds, 45 pounds-ish, just kind of convert the numbers, because I know we have some people who like to operate in pounds and kilos. So 20 kgs, approximately 45 pounds. That's a substantial goal. And depending on how aggressive you want to push it, that is a 6 months or more, 6 months minimum to lose that much weight. And if you're going to do it in a more conservative fashion, probably upwards of a year. Just kind of put some real numbers out there, because a lot of people have these, I'm going to lose 20 kilos. I'll do that in a matter of a couple months. Boom, no big deal. And sure, if you crash diet, it's probably possible to lose that much in a couple months, but you're probably not going to enjoy it. It's probably not going to be sustainable, and the risk of rebounding and gaining the weight back again is very high. So try and take this long-term approach where the weight you lose is the weight you keep off. The progress you make is the progress you keep. And instead of thinking like, how fast can I lose this? Think of, how can I lose this in a healthy and sustainable way that I can enjoy, and then keep doing after the weight is gone, so that you can sustain that weight loss. And again, if you'd like some help with this, laying out an action plan to lose that 20 kilos while gaining lean muscle in the process, feel free to reach out to me. Again, I have my email and my contact information down in the show notes below. If you want to reach out to me, we can certainly have an email discussion, or even book in for a Zoom call and have a chat, map out a realistic action plan for you. We've got Neil joining in. Says, I'm currently just maintaining, probably gain a bit of strength and muscle, as gaining muscle is extremely hard due to night shift. Okay, yeah, if I got to be honest, if you're working a night shift, that's hard, right? I mean, you can still try and do everything in your power to eat right and exercise and get adequate sleep, but you're going against the grain. Like, that's going against the natural circadian rhythm, and it's hard. And I can speak from experience on that, because I know a few years back, well, a good many years back now, but my wife was working a night shift for a while, and it just threw her schedule off big time. And like, trying to keep up with the workouts, but the recovery wasn't the same. The strength and energy wasn't the same. It was rough, right? It really is. Now, you can still make it work, but it just poses another layer of challenge on top of something that's already challenging enough. So I can respect that. Hopefully it's not a permanent thing, but if it is, you really got to work around it. If it's just a temporary thing, well, kind of make do until this is over and you get back to a normal schedule again. But that is something I wouldn't wish on anybody working a night shift. I mean, I know the way the world is nowadays, some people have to do it, but I don't envy those people. Who else? We got Terrence is joining in. Welcome, Terrence. Says, good evening, Lee. Merry Christmas to you and the family. And same to you, my friend. Hopefully you're doing well. All right. Terrence trains up at the same gym that I do, Omega Health and Fitness. I see him there on a regular basis. Who else we got joining in? We have Dylan. Hoping for a 315 on the bench and 500 pounds in the deadlifts in 2025. From a recovery perspective, I'm also aiming to get better sleep. So far, I've started taking magnesium glycinate about 2 months ago. All right, those are very respectable goals, and hitting those numbers would put you up into the advanced category for strength training. Like, there was there's a kind of like a general rule of thumb in the strength training world where if you're benching 300 plus, if you're squatting 400 plus, and you're deadlifting 500 plus, you're in the advanced category. Like that's for practical purposes, like that is gold standard amongst gym goers. Because you go into a typical fitness gym, very few people are hitting those numbers. Like, I'll be totally transparent, I'm not hitting those numbers anymore. I mean, I did back in my heyday when I was in peak shape and peak strength, but I'm not hitting those numbers anymore now. But that is kind of like the gold standard for sure. Now, I mean, obviously, if you get into the powerlifting world and then you go into equipped powerlifting and all that, then sure, there's people blowing those numbers way higher, but that's kind of like elite world-class numbers. But from regular gym goers, that's gold standard lifts right there. That would certainly put you into the advanced category and something that's very respectable. And to help with that, definitely getting better sleep would certainly aid with that. Because I mean, if you're going to be training hard, you're going to be training heavy, you definitely need the sleep. And I can attest to, when I've been going through different training phases, if I'm not sleeping well, the workouts suffer. Now, you might get away with a poor night's sleep every now and then, but if it's a consistent thing where you're consistently getting bad sleep, then that's going to compound. I mean, you can get away with a poor night here and there, but you want to look at what are you doing most of the time, right? 80% of the time. Like, are you getting good quality sleep at least 80% of the time or more? And if you're not, then that's something you definitely need to focus on. Magnesium can help. Zinc is another one. Like the whole supplement ZMA, basically zinc and magnesium, and they also add B6 to it. Excuse me, guys. They also add B6 to it. But you can kind of make your own concoction. I personally take supplemental zinc and supplemental magnesium before bed, and I find it helps. I mean, it has that relaxing, calming sensation, and those are essential minerals that most people are deficient in. They're not getting enough of anyway, and taking them right before bed is a great time for absorption and helping to promote good quality sleep. So still take the magnesium, but I would also add in some supplemental zinc to go along with it. All right, what else we got? We have Frank joining in. Thumbs up. Thank you, Frank. Great info. Epsom salt bath is awesome for arthritis and joint pain. Thanks for sharing that. I've never tried it myself, but hey, it's worth a try. I mean, like there's no downsides to that. Like, go for it. Give it a shot. I mean, if it helps, great. And if it doesn't, like there's no, you're not out anything. You're not, well, whatever the cost of an Epsom salt bath is, but it's not a big deal. If so, that's something I would definitely take a shot, give it a shot and see if it works. We got Billy joining in. Hey, Big Lee, Savage Beast, keep up the great work. Been watching since 2008. Much appreciated. Right? I don't hear that one very often, the Savage Beast, but if that's a sign that you've been around watching for a while, because that was a stupid nickname that I had back in the day. Right? Thanks to my good friend Vince Del Monte, he called me a Savage Beast in one of our original YouTube videos that we made back in the day. Right? Back in that time frame of the mid 2000-ish, whenever it was. We got Lee Dunnigan joining in. Merry Christmas. Do you supplement with ginger or add it to your diet? I had some given to me over Christmas, and I read it may help with gut health. I personally don't supplement with ginger. Nothing against it. I just don't take it personally. But if you have any gut health issues, there is solid evidence behind ginger helping with that. Like, people who get stomach upset, seasickness, motion sickness, like a lot of times they will use ginger to help settle the stomach. So it certainly can help with that. Sometimes I will actually use ginger if I have a bit of a cold coming on. Like if I feel like a bit of a sinus infection or a cough or a cold, I'll sometimes I'll just literally buy ginger root and just slice off a little bit of and chew on the raw ginger root. And I find that it has a very strong, tangy, the taste of ginger, but like you eat the raw ginger root, just cut off a slice of it about the size of a quarter or something like that, like just a sliver of it, and pop it in your mouth and chew on it. I find that it just opens up my sinuses and, just helps to clear everything out. But I mean, it does have medicinal benefits in terms of helping with gut health and things like that. So, I don't supplement it with proper supplements, but if I do feel like a cold or something coming on, I do take it, and I do find it makes a difference. But yeah, I would definitely incorporate that. If gut health is an issue and something you're concerned with, by all means. All right, who else we have joining in? We have Colians following up. He says, if you could guide me the best gym routine for losing the 20 kilograms weight goal by using cardio machine or weightlifting machine, thank you. I appreciate your help. There's a lot that we could unpack with that. And it really depends on, like, the best program really depends on you, your fitness level, your situation, what you have available, your schedule. Like, it's not just like, hey, everybody do this because this is the best program, right? It doesn't work like that. The best program is very individualized, right? We can't just paint everybody with the same brush and say, everybody's got to do this, right? Because everybody is in different situations, different fitness levels, different age brackets. You have your own issues in terms of mobility or injuries or aches or pains that you have to work around. Like, obviously, if someone who has arthritis is going to train differently than someone who doesn't. Someone who's younger is going to train differently than someone who's older. Someone who's overweight is going to train differently than someone who's underweight, and all these different variables. So if you would like some help with customizing a program for you, then reach out to me. And again, contact information is down in the show notes below. You can book in for a complimentary coaching call with me, right? We can discuss your situation and all that stuff and see if we can come up with a realistic action plan that works for you. All right, we've got Andy joining in, and he's a regular over on our Muscle After 40 Blueprint program. Welcome, Andy. Hope you had a good holiday with your family. Who else? AJ's following up to the question there, saying, agreed, yet the way I see it, I'll naturally lean out after the festive period, so might as well utilize the extra calories. Absolutely, right? Treat it like, like you said, it's almost like a mini bulk, but it's, just think of it. Hey, I'm fueled up. My glycogen and everything is topped up. Let's take advantage of that and get in some good workouts while you're topped up. We have David joining in. Howdy, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you and your family. Much appreciated, David. Same to you. Okay, Andy's got a question here. It says, my wife wants to know if her goal is regular increased fitness, endurance, and strength. How many sets and reps should she be doing? Again, that depends on her, right? As I mentioned, everyone's unique on this, and her previous fitness experience and her, the current shape she's in and all that, and her schedule plays a big role here. But her goal is regular increased fitness, endurance, and strength. So basically just getting in general shape. I'm going to give some general guidelines here to help. If you're not working out or you haven't worked out in a long time, then anything that you do is better than nothing. Like, something's better than nothing. But start off conservative, because this is one of the biggest mistakes people are going to make, especially, January comes around and everyone's all feeling fat and guilty and bloated because of the holidays and eating too much and drinking too much. And they're going to be like, oh my God, I feel like a fat SOB. I gotta go on this crazy diet. I got to go keto. I got to go fasting. I got to starve myself, and I got to work out for 2 hours a day, 6 days a week, and right, all full of piss and vinegar. Everyone's got the grandest plans and ambitions, and I'm going to lose all that weight in the next 2 weeks, right? Because I'm just going to work out like a madman and starve myself. It doesn't work that way, right? Never works that way, but people still think it does. And the problem is they're going to jump in and go from like nothing to like pedal to the metal, right? Pushing the red line, and end up burning themselves out. Very often probably end up hurting themselves, like straining something, like, okay, within the first week back to the gym, training so much, like, oh geez, there goes the rotator cuff. Oh Christ, there goes my lower back. There goes my knees, right? And all these aches and pains are going to start popping up, and they're not going to be able to continue it. When it comes to starving themselves, okay, you'll go on that crazy cutting diet. You might go the first couple days and it actually feels good because it's almost like a little detox because you've been eating so much and drinking so much over the holidays. Now, just to have a little, give your digestive system a break for a couple of days. Actually feels good in the moment. But then once you deplete your glycogen stores and then the hunger kicks in and then the cravings start to kick in, you're like, man, I can't stand it. I'm feeling hungry. I'm irritable. And then you start to have those cravings. And before you know it, you're binge eating and you're back to square one, binge eating, aches and pains. And you probably got something hurt from training too much in the gym. Like, just ease yourself back into it. Baby steps. And this is hard. Like, it's hard to pace people. And this is one thing, like when I'm training people in the gym, especially when I'm training new people, like one-on-one, like we go into the gym and we'll go through the motions with a workout. And it's like, okay, we're done. And they're like, that's it? I say, yep, that's it. Right? You went through the basic program. We stopped short of failure. We don't want to push the intensity today. We just want to kind of go through the motions, like lay a little foundation here. And then we're going to come back in a couple of days and we're going to better what you did this workout, right? We're going to do a little bit better. And then each day we just do a little bit better, but we're like dialing it up just 1%, just a little bit better. Instead of going out there and going flat out, pedal to the metal from day one, burning yourself out. Like, purposely go in there and go at a manageable pace, like 50% effort. Like, it should be easy. Your first workout back to the gym should be a joke. It shouldn't feel exhausting. You should do that workout and say, you know what, I could do more. That was easy. That's the way you should leave when you're starting back to a new routine. And then each time you just do a little tiny bit better. And it will catch up with you. Like, over the course of several weeks, over the course of several months, those workouts will build up to the point where they are challenging, but don't go chasing the effort. Like, let the effort come to you just by being consistent, right? The biggest challenge is to pace yourself and to show up consistently. And this is the hardest part, because most people, they want to just go flat out and they almost treat it like a sprint. Like, they say, well, I'm going to just work as hard as I can and try and lose the weight as fast as possible, get in shape as fast as possible, and then I'll be done with it. And it doesn't work like that. It's like trying to sprint your way through a marathon, right? I mean, a marathon is 26 miles. Imagine getting to the start and in mile one, you're running as fast as you can, gunning it, right? 100%. And then maybe you get half a mile into the race and then you're keeled over. Well, the slow, steady people are just trotting along, right? They run on past you and then they're keeping on going and they're keeping on going. And the slow, steady, like the tortoise and the hare, that type of analogy, like the slow, steady tortoises who are just pacing themselves, they go on and they finish the marathon and they win the race. Well, the people who are trying to sprint their way through, they don't even make it past, the first couple miles because they burn out and quit. That's the way most people approach their fitness, is they just burn out and quit before they even achieve anything substantial. So if you can take anything away from this, especially for those of you who are starting off in the new year with a new fitness routine, pace yourself. Like, don't expect to achieve miracles in the first week. Just show up and go through the motions and leave the gym knowing you could do more. Like, it should feel easy, and give yourself permission to do those easy workouts. But the challenge is you want to show up consistently, right? If you want to make it challenging, then put the challenge on the consistency aspect, like showing up and doing something every day. Maybe it's strength training one day and then doing some low intensity cardio the next. Strength training one day, low intensity cardio the next. This will give you the daily exercise, but you're working different types of exercise. One is a strength training, one's aerobic training. This will work different energy systems in the body and allow you to work out every day, keep that habit alive, and just focus on the consistency, not the intensity. Consistency over the intensity. And then just by being consistent, naturally your intensity is going to start to build. And then gradually, as you get more accustomed to it, you can start to dial it up and push yourself a little bit. But again, don't go chasing the effort. Let the effort come to you just by being consistent. So that's what I would suggest to your wife or anybody who's starting off a new fitness program. All right, Scott's got a question. Says, so I definitely took in the extra calories Christmas Day and night, and then ended up with a head cold. Haven't recovered yet. Going through boxes of Kleenex. What are the workarounds when sick? You know what? That doesn't surprise me, because whenever you change your routine, it can offset, your whole system. And it's ironic that you mentioned that, Scott, because Christmas Day, I actually felt a bit under the weather. Now, thankfully, after a good night's sleep, I woke up the next day, felt good. But Christmas Day, I mean, I was feeling like headache. I felt like I had a bit of a temperature. I mean, almost felt like a cold was coming on, but I guess strong immune system, I was able to fight it off with a good night's sleep, and it didn't amount to anything, knock on wood. But that's not uncommon, to get out of your normal routine, eat foods that you don't normally eat, and it's just like a shock to the system and kind of can really throw a wrench into things. And of course, when you're around, people, friends and family and other things, I mean, who knows what kind of bugs and germs could be floating around, right? I mean, you don't know. You could be exposed to a lot of stuff. So it's hard to pinpoint where it came from. But the bottom line is, okay, you're under the weather. You got a head cold. What do you do? That's a challenging one. And the general rule of thumb in the fitness world is, if it's sick above the neck, meaning, okay, I got a bit of a snotty nose, a bit of a cough or whatever, you can probably still do some easy workouts. I mean, obviously you wouldn't push yourself with max effort or anything, but you can probably still exercise. You can still kind of go through the motions. If it's from the neck down, meaning like you got chest congestion and feel like you're coughing up a lung or something like that, hack and mucus and all that kind of stuff, it's probably best to not go to the gym. And I mean, from a practical point of view, I mean, if you're coughing and snotting and everything else, you probably don't want to go to the gym and spread that germs all around. It's, you're using the equipment and you're coughing and snotting, and the next thing you know, okay, someone else is going to go use the equipment, and it's just not the best from a hygienic point of view. But you may feel better just getting outside and doing some cardio. And this is my go-to whenever I'm feeling under the weather. Just get outside and go for a walk, right? Just do some easy, active recovery type of stuff. And I find by getting outside and going for a walk in the fresh air, it usually makes me feel better. It helps to clear out the sinuses a bit. I find like breathing in the fresh air, especially if it's colder outside, like breathing in cold air. Now, I know Scott lives in Florida, so I don't know how cold it is this time of year, but where I live in Canada, I mean, it gets cold in the wintertime. So getting outside and breathing in that cold air, I find it really helps to clear out the sinuses. And when I'm out for my wintertime walks, I mean, I know it sounds gross, but I mean, I'm blowing snot rockets, you cover one nostril and you let it go out the other one and cover the other one. It's a great opportunity to do it. You're outdoors, right? Like blow your snot rockets and clear out all that mucus. And I mean, that's what I do, especially if I'm feeling under the weather. And I find that after that walk and blowing a few snot rockets in the great outdoors, I feel so much better afterwards, right? It helps to clear me out. So that's my activity or exercise routine when I'm not feeling up to going to the gym. I get outside and go for walks. And again, I don't have any expectations of, I got to walk a certain distance or I got to walk a certain pace, or no, I just get out there and move. That's the goal, just to get out there and move. And then as you start to feel better, then you can decide, okay, am I good enough to go back to the gym again and get back into your regular routine? But let your body adapt and build back up to your previous workouts, your previous strength levels and previous endurance levels. Don't try and force it too much too soon. Because I mean, anytime you're coming back from a weakened state, a weakened immune system, you're not going to be 100%. It's going to take a while for your body to bounce back to that. But as long as you're consistent, you'll be able to do so. But that's how I go about it. So hopefully you can get some insights from that. Can I join your program with my FSA, HSA? I'm not exactly sure. I'm not familiar with that personally. Send me an email and we can discuss it, because I'll have to look into it. I'm not sure how that works. All right. Been watching for years. Awesome. Well, I appreciate the support. But yeah, Ricardo, just drop me an email and we can certainly chat and see how this would work out for you. I mean, I know everybody's got different systems of like what's covered and stuff. Like I know in Canada, any money you spend on fitness, meaning like gym memberships or personal training or fitness equipment and memberships, like if you join your local like a swim club or a racquetball club or a softball club or whatever, like any money you spend on health and fitness, it's tax deductible up to a certain point. I believe it's up to $2,000 a year is tax deductible, which is a nice little incentive. But all that stuff varies depending on where you live and what other programs are available and stuff. So we can certainly discuss and see what you could qualify for or how things could qualify for you. I'm not totally sure off the top of my head how that would work. Platinum Gaming HD. I'm having pain in my upper pec when going down on the barbell bench press. Does this mean my pec is about to tear? I've been lifting 3 to 4 years and never experienced this. It's hard to know just by a comment. I mean, pain in the pecs, I mean, you probably strained something. It could be a nerve impingement. Who knows? Usually stuff like this, as long as it's only minor, it usually heals up on its own. But one thing I will encourage you is whenever you're feeling pain or discomfort, or you just know it's not right, don't push through that pain. Like, don't try and go set in a 1 rep max bench press when you have pain in your upper pec and it's just not feeling right. If you are going to still train chest, I would probably recommend doing probably machine exercises or lighter exercises. Anytime you're not feeling 100%, as in, you're feeling this pain and discomfort, I would recommend machine exercises over free weights because it's a lot safer and you have more control. For example, like if you're doing a chest press machine and something doesn't feel right, like you can just drop the weight and, get out. Whereas if you got a loaded barbell across your chest, well, I mean, you still got to rack that sucker. Or if you got dumbbells, you got to still get those dumbbells racked, or well, even dumbbells is not so bad because you can kind of just drop them. The gym owner may not approve, but you could. But machines are a lot safer. That's what I'm getting at. Like, anytime you don't feel right, like, you can literally just lay the weight down without any fear of getting pinned or, restricted underneath a heavy free weight. So I would alternate machine exercises, and I wouldn't even do free weight barbell bench presses or things like that until your pec is feeling better. And go through the motions, like lighter weights, higher reps, just focusing on working the muscle, getting blood flow and circulation, and think of it as active recovery until it's feeling better again. And then when it is feeling better again, gradually ease your way back in. Because what you're experiencing right now, this is a root cause of a lot of injuries, is where people have like a minor strain and something doesn't feel right. They know they should ease off, but at the same time, their ego won't let them, and they still push through the pain. And then they take a minor little strain and then turn it into a major injury, right? So, I mean, it could potentially become a torn pec, but you have the warning light. This is like the check engine light on your car, right? It's flashing saying, hey, wake the F up. Something's not right. Don't ignore me. Right? Whereas most people, check engine light on the car. Don't worry about that. That's just the car. That's fine. Right? Like, oh, my chest hurts. Something doesn't. Don't worry about it. I'll just work through it. Walk it off. That's okay. No, when you feel pain, there's a reason you're feeling pain. That's your body's way of saying, like, hey, hello, something's not right here. Listen up. I'm trying to talk to you. So don't ignore it. Pain is your warning signs. That's your body's giving you a warning. Heed that warning and adjust your training accordingly. Now, it doesn't mean you have to stop entirely, but you need to modify the workouts and scale down the volume and the intensity, and think of active recovery. Like, anytime there's something doesn't feel right, always go into active recovery mode and try and just work through the pain and use movement as medicine to heal yourself, and not always thinking of, I got to set a new PR 1 rep max bench press or whatever. Like, forget that. Right? Because the worst thing you can do is try to push through the pain. And if you do end up tearing a pec, like, that's not something that you just shake off and, I'll be back to the gym next week. That's no big deal. No, like a torn pec, that's going to haunt you for the rest of your life. Like, that's never going to fully heal. So you want to avoid that at all costs. Right? So heed this warning, right? Heed it and take advantage of it. I mean, I wish I could go back in time and talk to the young Lee and say what I'm saying to you right now, because I've had those opportunities in the past where I had the aches and the pains and I knew I should have backed off, but I didn't listen, and I pushed through the pain and ended up getting hurt in the process. And some of those injuries, they still haunt me today. All right, who else we got joining in? We have Julio. Merry Christmas, Lee. Merry Christmas to you, my friend. Nice. Coolian saying, Merry Christmas. Thank you. Appreciate your explanation. I've been following your guidance for a long time. Just wanted to know, do you still lift weights first day and following day do cardio? So alternate weight training one day, cardio the next. Generally, I do, but it depends on what I'm training for. I mean, as a general guideline, that's more often than not what I do, but that may vary for me. So, for example, in the wintertime, usually that's what I'll do: weight training one day, cardio the next. When I'm in the peak of summer and I'm doing a lot of cycling, I probably tip the scale in favor of more cardio because I'm spending a lot more time outside doing bike rides. I also do some local cycling races and things like that. So if I'm in a phase where I'm doing a lot of races, like this past summer, I was doing time trial races every single month, and I did that for like 8 weeks in a row or something like that. I can't remember. It was an extended period of time where I did a lot of races every single weekend. And because of that, I geared my training to peak for those races every single week that I was doing. So, I mean, obviously I scaled back the volume and the intensity of the weight training and prioritized the cycling because that's what I was focusing on. But generally speaking, if I'm just training for general fitness, or for a lot of my coaching students who are training for general fitness, that's a good guideline to focus on. Strength training one day, cardio the next, because you're able to keep the consistency of regular exercise, keeping that habit of exercise alive, but you're training different energy systems and different movement patterns. So when you're doing your strength training, you're giving your aerobic system a break. Like it's still working to a small degree, but it's not working to its max. Vice versa, when you're doing your aerobic training, you're giving your muscles, joints, tendons, and ligaments that were stressed from the strength training, you're giving them kind of like active recovery. So you're working different energy systems and different movement patterns. So it allows you to still keep active without overtraining or burning yourself out. So that's why I recommend strength training alternated with cardio. And it's from a stimulation point of view and an adaptation point of view, it's better to separate your weight training and cardio workouts. Like, you will actually get more benefit if you do it that way. Now, I know some people that's not possible. They have to combine strength training and cardio together. And if that's the case, then I would recommend doing the strength training first and the cardio afterwards. But it's not as ideal as doing them in separate sessions where you can really focus on the strength training or really focus on the cardio. That would be the best scenario. All right, another question. Let's see what else we got this second. I'm going to wet my whistle first. J.E.'s asking my opinion on the behind the neck press. I'm not a huge fan of it because I don't have the shoulder mobility to do it. I know some people like it. I find it awkward to do that behind the neck press. Like, it's really a lot of external shoulder rotation there. And if you have tightness in the shoulders, it may not be a comfortable movement. If I am going to do it, I will do it as a very light movement, almost like a mobility exercise, not a strength and power exercise. So I will sometimes do it. And usually the way that I do it is the Bradford press. If you've seen some of my videos, and especially older videos, I demonstrate this, where you alternate pressing to the back and to the front of the head and do it in an alternate fashion. So like to the back, to the front, and you don't lock out in the middle. So like you keep your elbow soft, and it's just like a shoulder mobility movement. I sometimes do that just for that, for mobility in the shoulder joint. And I find that it's good for that, but I don't use max weights. Like, I'm not pushing heavyweight, low reps or anything. Because again, where the shoulders are in a vulnerable position, I think the risk of injury is very high. So I usually do my shoulder presses either with dumbbells or to the front. And a lot of times I'll even use machines, because machines are safer. And a lot of times you can put yourself in a position where you're in a more advantageous position to power the weight and do so safely. Right? You got to be careful with the shoulders, because the shoulder joint is, even though it's very mobile, I mean, you have that full 360-degree range of motion in the shoulder joint. There's a lot of small muscles, joints, tendons, and ligaments in there, and it's very easy to injure it. So you want to be careful of doing movements where you're placing the shoulders in a vulnerable position, and the behind the neck press is a vulnerable position for a lot of folks. So if you are going to do it, use lightweight and just use it as a mobility move, and save your regular heavy pressing for to the front, or probably with a machine exercise where it's even safer again. Andy's saying, thank you, Lee. You're welcome, Andy. Glad to help. Matthew saying, just barely got on the live. I've been busy. Well, God, thank goodness you're here. I mean, I don't know what would happen if you missed. You'd have to watch the replay. But all good. Glad you're joining in, Matthew. And Matthew is a regular over on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Facebook group as well. Glad to have you joining in. Scott saying, good stuff. All right, good stuff for you too. Hopefully you get over that cold sooner than later. Just checking in to say hi. Just got on the live. Been busy. Okay. Well, you're tuning in from Facebook as well as YouTube. Look at, we got a double shot. There we go. Frank's laughing at my snot rockets. Yeah. And you know what? If you're laughing at it, it's probably because you do it yourself. Like everybody blows snot rockets. Well, I won't say everybody does, but you should. if you're outdoors and you got a booger in there, is the easiest way to get that thing out. Okay. I remember when Harvey was just a little boy. I mean, he's only 8 now, so he's still a little boy. But when he was a little boy, right? And we'd be outside, and he said, Dad, I got a booger. He said, Dad, I got a booger. Do you have a tissue? And I said, here, let me show you. And I taught him how to blow a snot rocket, right? He figured it out pretty quick, right? Oh, those are good quality times, right? When you're teaching your son how to blow a snot rocket outdoors. Yeah. All right, what else we got there? Matthew saying, been watching since 2016. Appreciate the support. Awesome. 2016 doesn't seem that long ago to me. That's when my son was born, right? It's only 8 years ago. But time flies. We got Travis joining in again. Welcome, Travis. Merry Christmas to you as well. We have Ricania, Puerto Rico. I'm sure I nailed it. I always nail those names every time. Coach, when is the Lee Hayward Steve Shaw live stream going to happen? It would be great, in my honest opinion. I don't know. I don't I know of Steve Shaw, but I don't keep in contact with him. I haven't messaged him or nothing. I don't know. So if you want to make it happen, reach out to Steve Shaw and ask him when the Lee Hayward Steve Shaw is going to happen and see if we can make something happen. Who else? Merry Christmas and everybody, Happy New Year of gains. Same to you, my friend. Awesome. All right, I think that's all the Q&A come through on my end, unless my, all right. Oh, and I will. Okay, do it. Yeah, I mean, if Steve wants to get together, I mean, whether it's for a podcast or something like that, I mean, I'm game for that. Because that's something I want to do in the new year. Like I've been quite successful with the Total Fitness Bodybuilding podcast thus far. And just out of curiosity, those of you who are tuning in live, how many of you listen to the podcast and enjoy it? If you do, hey, just let me know in the comments there. But so far, I've been focusing primarily on doing podcasts with, obviously, Jeff Samatero, who's my co-host, and a lot of the guys within the Muscle After 40 Blueprint program. A lot of my coaching students have been sharing, their stories and feedback and stuff through the podcast. But obviously, moving into 2025, I want to expand on that because I really enjoy doing those podcasts. I find it's a great opportunity to have, just focus on a particular topic at a time and go deep into that topic, cover a lot of insights, provide a lot of valuable information, and help a lot of people. But in doing so, I mean, I want to, invite more guests on board. And I've got a few people lined up that I'm going to be inviting, some friends and colleagues of mine in the fitness industry. So having that lined up. But if you have any collaborations that you would like to see happen on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding podcast, by all means, let me know or share it with any of your other favorite fitness influencers, and we can see if we can make something happen there. All right. Andy saying, I listen. Terrence saying, love the podcast. Greg's feeling you as always. Good stuff. Appreciate it. All right, we've got a couple more questions and then we're going to clue it up. So we're getting close to the hour there now. Let's see where else to. Azim's joining in saying, Lee, 3 comments back to back. 1 of 3. My question is regarding recovery. I'm going with 60 minutes of cardio every day, like you recommended last week, but I haven't started gym yet. 2, I'm concerned about leg workout. If I do it, I might not be able to do the cardio the following and also the day because I get sore a lot in legs compared to other parts. 3, should I take the weekends off and increase the cardio 1.5 hours so that I can recover the legs for the cardio? All right. Don't overthink it. Like, you can adjust this as you go. All right. So start back. You're going to start with 60 minutes of cardio every day. If that's too much, do less. Like, if 60 minutes of cardio is causing you to get sore and you're just starting off from scratch, this is like a new workout routine or coming back after a layoff, why 60 minutes? Like, heck, start with 20, start with 30. Like, you don't have to, dive headfirst into the deep end, sink or swim. You can dip your toe into the shallow end and ease your way up to the deep end, right? And I know that doesn't sound very macho or very sexy or very whatever, but it's practical. And see, a lot of times people think that they have to do some big drastic thing in order for it to be productive. Like, hey, I'm not doing any exercise now, so friggin', I'm going to do an hour a day, because it's a nice round number. Hour a day sounds good. Well, an hour a day may be too much for somebody, depending on your previous fitness level and your work capacity and everything else. Heck, start with 10 minutes a day, right? And build it up from there. I mean, back when I was making my comeback, the whole muscle after 40 comeback journey that I did, I mean, I let myself go. I became a fat slob for a while. Like, after my son Harvey was born, and anybody who's a parent knows this, where, okay, your priorities go from up here to like, you get pushed down to the bottom of the ladder. And of course, your baby's priorities gets pushed up to the top. So I just couldn't pick up and go to the gym anytime I wanted. Plus, waking up in the middle of the night to a crying baby, my sleep was disrupted. I mean, I wasn't getting any quality restful sleep, so I felt exhausted. And when you're feeling exhausted, you don't feel like exercising. And it was just this negative spiral for a while. Where like, oh, I don't feel rested. I don't feel like going to the gym. I'm too tired to meal prep. Screw it. I'm just going to order something to eat tonight and get a drive-through meal or whatever. I'll start again tomorrow. I'll start again on Monday. And like, in my mind, I knew what I was doing was wrong and I shouldn't be doing this, but I did it anyway. And then all those poor decisions started to compound. And then before I know it, I'm looking in the mirror and like, who's that fat guy looking back at me in the mirror? Like, I don't recognize him, right? Like that's not Lee Hayward, the former competitive bodybuilder. That's Lee Hayward, the Michelin man with a belly that sticks out further than his chest, right? So I was going through that kind of, emotional meltdown and physical meltdown for a while. And how I started, I literally gave myself permission to do mini workouts. And it started off like literally 10-minute workouts. That's how I got started, because I had this mental block, like thinking, oh, I got to work out 2 hours a day. And if I can't work out for 2 hours a day, then I don't have time to work out. Well, not only did I not have the time to work out 2 hours a day, I wasn't in shape enough to work out 2 hours a day because I'd let myself go. So I gave myself permission to just do little mini workouts. So like, hey, I'll put on my sneakers and just walk around the block for 10 or 15 minutes. Boom, that's a start. And maybe I did that a couple times a day and gradually built it up. And I gave myself permission to do these little mini workouts. And I actually wrote a blog post going into it in more detail. If you want to check it out, I'll actually share the link. It's if you search for Lee Hayward, don't have time to exercise, I believe it is. Let's see. There we go. It's just search for Lee Hayward, no time to exercise. Start with 10 minutes. And I'm just going to post that link into our chat window so you can go check that out. This is where I'd recommend you start. And for anybody who's starting off, like either brand new or coming back after a layoff, this is where you can start. Like, read that blog post because it outlines exactly how I went about starting again without killing myself in the process and making it sustainable, right? Because that's the key. We don't want to go in there like jump headfirst into the deep end, hoping you're going to sink or swim and ultimately sink and end up quitting and not being able to sustain it. So if 60 minutes of cardio is too much, do less. Start with 10 minutes, start with 20 minutes, like start with some small amount and then build it up. Okay, what else? So I'm going to do 60 minutes of cardio every day. I haven't started the gym yet. I'm concerned about leg workouts. Why are you concerned about leg workouts? You haven't even started the gym yet. If I do, I might not be able to do the cardio the following day if I get sore a lot. If you're sore and you can't do it, we'll just do an easier cardio session. Like simple as that. Like if your legs are sore after a leg workout, you just do an easy walk or a short walk, or sit on the stationary bike with no resistance and just move your legs. Like just do something. Like, in fact, if you're sore, the best way to reduce muscle soreness is light movement. Simply sitting on the couch and doing nothing is not the best way to reduce soreness. The best way to reduce it is light movement. Like cardio is actually one of the best things that you can do to reduce soreness, because it's gentle movement, it's gentle exercise, but it increases blood flow and circulation, helps to reduce, that lactic acid, helps to circulate fresh blood into those sore muscles, and it actually makes them feel better. So anytime I'm feeling sore, I always think of like, what can I do for light movement to aid with the recovery process? Like just sitting on your ass with the TV remote, like that doesn't help reduce soreness. In fact, that just makes you feel even more seized up and stiff. So light movement is actually the cure here. Should I take the weekends off and increase the cardio to 1.5 hours? Don't try to do too much too soon. Like I mentioned before, I mean, just start small and let the volume build up slowly over time. And don't overthink this stuff. Like a lot of times people, I haven't even started working out yet, but I'm planning all the obstacles that are going to come up in the future before they even potentially come up. Like, don't try and figure shit out. Just jump in and figure it out as you go, because it may not be as bad as you're visualizing it's going to be in your mind. And there might be other challenges that you haven't even thought of yet, but who cares? Like, just start and we'll figure it out as we go. Like, one of the biggest problems people make when it comes to their fitness and nutrition is they think, well, I got to have the perfect program, and I got to have the perfect diet, and I got to have all my calories and my macros, and I got to have my meal plan laid out, and I got to have my exercises and my sets and reps and my workout split laid out, and I got to have my supplements, and I got to know when I'm going to take my supplements, and I got to do this, and how much grams of creatine am I going to take per day, and when I'm going to take my creatine, and I got to get my pre-workout, and I got to get this, and I also got to get new workout shoes, and I got to get new workout. Like, frig off. Just go to the gym and start working out. Like, don't overthink all that shit. Don't try and overcomplicate it. Just start now. Do something and figure it out as you go. Because all this mental masturbation of thinking of all the scenarios that are going to come up in the future, that's just a fancy way of procrastinating it. And you disguise that procrastination as planning. Like, you don't need to overplan or overthink stuff. Like, the only thing that makes a difference is action. Sitting down and planning and strategizing and thinking and even asking questions like this. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just trying to give you the God's honest truth here. This is just wasting time. Just start now. Start now. Figure it out as you go. Like, you're going to make mistakes. That's fine. You're going to learn from your mistakes, and then you're going to optimize and make it better, and then just keep improving. Go in there, try something. If it works, great. If it doesn't, great. Learn from your mistake. Change it around and try something else and keep moving forward. Learn from your mistakes and keep moving forward. Right? Figure it out as you go. Don't overthink it and get bogged down and tangled up in the weeds, because that's where a lot of people, I mean, it's ironic. Like, so many people who reach out to me asking questions and stuff, they probably know more about fitness and nutrition than I do, but they're sitting there wallowing in like, well, this guy says to do this, and that program says to do this, and well, this expert says to do that, and they're over analyzing and overthinking instead of just jump in and do it, right? And I'll give you an analogy to make sense of this. Like, imagine you want to become a swimmer, right? Like, you could watch videos of people swimming. You could read books about swimming. You could watch biographies and documentaries about swimming. Like, you could watch all reruns of past Olympic champions in the pool swimming. You could bombard yourself with all this information about swimming, but unless you get your ass in the water and actually try and swim, none of that research or study or video watching or book reading or podcast listening is going to mean a row of beans unless you get your ass in the water and actually swim, right? Same applies with fitness. Like, I know a lot of people, they watch videos and they read books and they're following social fitness influencers on social media, and they know all the ins and outs of online fitness and who's doing what and whose program is this and that and the other thing, but they're not in the gym actually doing it. Like, if you want to get in shape, get your ass in the gym and figure it out as you go. Figure it out for yourself, right? That is the only thing that's actually going to make any difference. That's where the rubber meets the road. I mean, I'm not saying there's no time or place for planning and strategizing and educating yourself. I mean, sure, that does apply. There is a time and place for it. But a lot of times people over plan, over strategize, over educate themselves before they actually do anything. I mean, it blows my mind. I know people who've been following my stuff for years. I've watched every video I put out. I've read every ebook and PDF that I put out, and they still haven't started working out yet. They're still planning that big day when I'm finally going to get around to it. Right? Like, start now, right? Figure it out as you go. If you get nothing else from this podcast, start now, right? Stop overthinking it, because it's just mental masturbation and it's not getting you anywhere. Just get your ass in the gym and start going and figure it out as you go. If you get sore, we'll deal with it when you get sore. We'll either back off the intensity or frig it. We'll take a day of rest. We'll do something. Like, don't procrastinate. Well, I don't want to work out yet because I'm afraid I might get sore and I might have to change my workout schedule and I won't be able to get my cardio in. I'm like, oh shit, what am I going to do then? Figure it out as you go. Right? There we go. Anyway, guys, we've been going for over an hour. I'm going to get ready and clue this up because it's still into the festive season, and we actually have some company coming over later this evening. So I'm going to clue up the video chat, but hopefully you got some benefit from it. I'll be back again. Let me just check the calendar now, because I know we got the new year coming up. So the next video chat we do will actually be next year. So folks, I'll talk to you next year, and we'll get things kicking off now on the right track for 2025 and laying out a solid action plan. All right, guys, hopefully you enjoyed it. And if you do have any questions about anything we talked about here today, or if you'd like to reach out to me personally about a customized fitness and nutrition program, my contact information is down in the show notes. Reach out and we can have a chat through email or through Messenger and take it from there. All right, have yourself a good one. Take care. Over and out.